After more than 6 months of war, hospitals in Israel are near the breaking point. Despite the constant pressure, one hospital is standing strong as a sign of hope. That's because Israeli Jews and Arabs are working side by side to save lives. Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports from Sheba Medical Center in Tel Aviv.
Workers inside Sheba Medical Center feel they're almost always on a near-war footing.
So October 7th, we got the word that something terrible was happening down around Gaza, and we started receiving the flow of patients in the afternoon and the evening into October 8th, which was the busiest day.
More than 1,000 soldiers and civilians have been treated here, and Steve Walz tells CBN News cases include trauma, mental stress, bullet and shrapnel wounds. Then came those who had been held hostage.
We had a special team dedicated just to dealing with the hostages, where they get a doctor, a psychologist, and a social worker to deal with each hostage. And so today we've dealt with 32 hostages and one dog.
Sheba Medical Center is part of TEL HASHOMER, the largest hospital in Israel. Since October 7th, they've treated some 70% of all the wounded soldiers.
So we've been learning on the run, and all the doctors who've been dealing with the hostages and even the wounded soldiers have more or less have had to throw away the medical book, and we're rewriting it because from the soldiers' point of view, the doctors are seeing wounds we've never seen before, because every few years, unfortunately, the ammunition gets upgraded so it's more damaging to the body.
It's also affected Walz personally.
In late October, one morning a helicopter was coming in, and I was alerted that a helicopter was coming in, and a minute or two later is my daughter on the phone saying, "It's Elia, my son-in-law, seriously wounded, landed at Sheba after being wounded by a mortar and a sniper when he emerged from his tank to check something on his tank."
After multiple surgeries and months in the hospital, Elia is doing well.
He's a hero, and he got tremendous amount of TLC here, like every soldier does. It was traumatic for the entire family. Of course, my daughter, they were married for less than a year. He made it out of that coma faster than anybody thought and rehabilitated.
Ro'i, a reservist, first fought terrorists inside Israeli border communities following October 7th. Then came the call to enter Gaza, where he was wounded, then brought to Sheba.
Really, really amazing. Everything that you need, they give it to you, and they do the best so you can go back to be like you was before the war, physically and mentally.
Ro'i feels he still has a long recovery ahead, and the trauma remains, but he's hopeful.
I want to go back to my work as soon as possible, so I can continue with the regular life as good as I can. But I know part of me will still in Gaza. We are strong, we are united, and we're gonna win this.
Aaron, a reserve combat soldier, was on a business trip when Hamas invaded.
I got back from the United States, and I joined my unit in the south as we prepared to be part of the first wave of the ground operation into Gaza.
After weeks of training, they entered Gaza on foot, going house to house looking for tunnel entrances.
From the second we got there, we were shot at constantly, so AK-47s, snipers, RPGs, anti-tank missiles, mortar shells. You get used to this cacophony of explosions around you. But, you know, of course, that's tough.
15 days later, while passing a UN-operated school, his unit came under fire.
So my commander stops and he says, "Let's ask permission to go into the house." And when he stopped to do that, there was a sniper behind the school that was waiting for that opportunity to shoot one of our officers.
As Aaron ran back to save his commander, the sniper shot him in his leg, side, and back.
Is incredible. It's miraculous. The fact that I get to keep my leg, that I'll make a full recovery, all of this is not taken for granted.
He's been here about 4 months.
The unique way that people come together here, the Arab Israelis and Jewish Israelis, you know, are united here in Sheba for one purpose, which is just to provide immaculate, incredible care.
Walz calls Sheba a prime example of how Israelis work together.
25% of our staff are Israeli Arabs. Jews and Arabs working side by side to save the lives of civilians and soldiers alike. There's no differentiation, something that we do during the year also with Palestinians that we treat from Gaza and the West Bank.
In order to be successful, Walz says Sheba remains a politics-free zone.
You walk in the door here, we check our politics at the door. We're a hospital with a hope without boundaries. The war is outside of our doors, and inside is the battle to save lives.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Sheba Medical Center, Tel Aviv.
That's a story you won't see anywhere else, but let me underline, as people are calling Israel some kind of apartheid culture, have them look at this story. Here you have the head nurse of this hospital, an Arab, Muslim, Israeli, and proud to be Israeli, a full participant in Israeli society. When you have politicians, when you have members of the Knesset, when you have full participants in the culture, it's really hard to say that you're apartheid. You know where the real apartheid is in the Middle East? Well, it's in the West Bank, and it's in Gaza, where there are warning signs to Israelis. Don't cross this line because we can't ensure your safety. If you're Jewish and you're caught in Ramallah, your life is at risk. There were no Jews in Gaza. There wasn't the IDF in Gaza either before October 7th. We need to recognize that. We need to proclaim that and come against these lies that are being promulgated around the world, that somehow Israel is bent on genocide and Israel is an apartheid culture. It's the exact opposite. The people bent on genocide are Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran. The people who live in an apartheid culture are the people who are saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That means no Jews living in Israel, no Israel anymore on the map. Let's proclaim the truth and stop these lies.